Hi everybody, thank you for joining this week for our webinar, getting started with the Canvas mobile apps. We're going to talk about both iOS or Apple and Android and smartphone devices and tablet devices. And we'll also download both the student app and the teacher app, which have different functionalities. Now, when we started with Canvas, we started in 2013, and back then there was only one mobile app, and it pretty much did everything. Um, they released another app a year later called SpeedGrader, which was dedicated only to the SpeedGrader function for professors. And since then, they've actually updated both of those apps, taken them out of the various app stores, and now we have dedicated apps for students, for teachers, and for parents. We won't cover the parent app in this webinar. That's more for a K-12 audience, um, and that's for parents that they can check the classes, the schedules that their students have, and things like that. But we'll cover the teacher app and the student app in this one. So let me check the audience view. It looks like you can already see my iPad app here, so I'm going to go ahead and minimize this background. I'll go ahead and get started with Apple products. And I'm going to pull up my iPhone as well. Bear with me, I'm just going to get that pulled up. Okay, on the left I have an iPad. This is an iPad Pro. On the right I have an iPhone. This is the iPhone 6S Plus. But the operating systems are current, so it doesn't matter which device you have, it'll look roughly the same. So on the left, I'm going to pull up the App Store, and I think I'll do this simultaneously. I was trying to decide what best way to do this. And it looks like on the right, I already have the Canvas app pulled up. But what you'll want to do is search for Canvas, enter, and it should be one of the first apps that come up. There's an app called Canva, which is similar. And so I'm going to go ahead and download both the teacher app and the student app. And I'll do the same on the phone to the right. And while those are downloading, as I was preparing this webinar, I didn't anticipate that there might actually be download times. But it looks like we're making some progress on the phone. These are significant apps. I mean, it does take a file size, but it's not too bad. And you can see on the right, there are almost 750,000 raters for the student app, and it gets almost 5 stars. It gets just like one notch below 5 stars, which is typical, but that reflects that it's actually a very good app. The teacher app also gets really good reviews in the App Store, 4.5 stars out of 18,000. Parent app, not so much, but we don't care as much about the parent app. So I'm going to go ahead and let's start first with the teacher apps. So I'm going to open the teacher app over here. I'll go ahead and come back to, I'm going to go ahead and come back to the iPad in just a moment. Oh, it looks like it just finished downloading. But first we'll navigate. I'm going to click allow. So this is my teacher app. I'm teaching one course this term, and that's a live course. And as I search, let's see, where did the student app come up? All right, so I'm going to open the student app as well. And you'll notice that these courses are different. Okay, so looks like I was already logged on to the teacher app for some reason. But to log on from scratch, you're going to go find my school. You're going to type in TCS, and we're looking for TCS Education System, which I see a bit down there. And then we're going to log in. I'm just going to switch keyboards real quick, pull up my Bluetooth keyboard. And Oops, I forget I'm on the phone and not on the computer. My mouse doesn't work at this point. All right, so I'm going to type in my username. I'm typing in my password down there as well. I just paused the screen just because it actually types out the letters of the password. And I'm going to click go, and it's going to log me in. So I'm in the student app right now. These are all the classes that I'm enrolled in as either a student or a teacher. Now with the teacher app, I can only see the courses that I'm teaching. So if you're enrolled as a student, for perhaps in a TOPS course or SME 101, or some kind of orientation where you're either auditing the course or you're enrolled as a student, then you won't see those courses on the teacher app. So I'm going to actually log off of that because I'm going to switch my account real quick. I'm going to again find TCS Education System. I'm going to type in a different set of credentials. These will be my administrative credentials. I will log in there. All right, looks like we are good to go. So I'm going to navigate a class called DTL Sandbox. It's a class that I created just for this webinar. And I think it'll be interesting. I'm actually going to pull up my iPad screen again. And I'm going to do the same thing, same process. I'm going to type in TCS Education System. All right, I'm going to pause the screen real quick and sign on. Yep, I'll receive notifications. You can modify the notifications afterwards. Okay, so now I'm signed on through two different platforms. The left is the phone, and the right is the tablet. And I'm going to click on DTL Sandbox on both of them. And so you can see the difference with the phone. Obviously, you have a difference of real estate, on-screen real estate, as well as size. And so on the phone, I can navigate the course navigation menu, and I can see there are no announcements, but I can see announcements, I can see assignments, discussions, for example. On the right, it's the same. I have a navigation, um, but I also have the advantage that I have more real estate. And so on the right, I can actually click on the assignment and see the assignment and maintain the course navigation. Whereas if I were to click on class introductions on the phone, it really has to streamline and scale it. And let's take a look at what that looks like in landscape mode. So I'm going to flip it over. On landscape mode, it does resemble more of the iPad, and I'll make a note that at my desk, as I have these two devices in front of me, these fonts are about the same size. On the right, this is an iPad Pro, so that's a pretty decent size monitor. I don't remember the screen size, but it's probably 12 or 13 inches. And then this would be a typical phone screen. But those fonts, the Module 1 class introductions, those fonts are about the same. So that can give you an idea. So I think it's a lot better to work on the iPad or a tablet for that reason, just because it's easier on the eyes and you get more information without it seeming overwhelming. With that said, Canvas Instructure, the company that owns Canvas, they do a good job of optimizing the display on the phone. And I'm going to set this back in the cradle here. Now, as the teacher, I see this a little bit different than the student, and we'll hop into the student app in a moment, the same class as a student. I see grading options. So the first thing as I hop over to this module one discussion is I see that there are submissions that have been graded. If they haven't been graded and they need to, then it'll indicate as such. Um, and just for if there's any FERPA police on here, this is a dummy course, and these are all just instructional designers. It's not a real course. The grades don't mean anything, and the points don't matter. But it's just an example of what a course might look like. And I can see on the phone that it does cut off a little bit. I can't pinch to zoom or zoom out, so there is a little bit of wiggle um, in that sense. Now that would probably be mitigated in if I move the side view, and you'll notice there are some arrows here that I can maximize the page, and that helps a little bit too. If you're in an assignment, you probably don't need the course navigation, and if you do need the course navigation, you just click it again, and you can access it again. And so, oops, I'm trying to click it. It's not wanting to maximize again. A little buggy. There it is. All right, so in this assignment, I have some animated pictures. I also have some embedded content, and this lives actually in a different platform. And then I have replies. So this is what a discussion post looks like on the iPhone. And similarly, I'll scroll over to the right, or on the right side, the iPad, and I can navigate. This is a platform called Padlet, and it embeds into Canvas, and you can see that it actually looks pretty good on mobile as well. And I have other people doing Padlets as well, and you can see it's interactive. If I click that, the browser's blocking cookies and embedded Padlets. That's fine. I could open that in a new window and update it on mobile. On the desktop, that would update. And so you can see threaded discussion, replies. I can click on a reply and type it out. I don't have the same rich text editor down here that I do on the computer, but I can do bold, change some colors, make lists or bullets, add a picture or a hyperlink, and I can add an attachment to the post as well. So pretty basic structure. And I can go back and edit a post as well. Since I'm a teacher, I can edit students' posts. And so that's what a discussion looks like. I'll hop over to this other discussion. And show you what this looks like. So here I've graded 6 submissions. There are 3 that need grading, and this is where the interesting thing about the new apps are is that it integrates SpeedGrader right into the app. So you don't need a separate for the old timers who use the SpeedGrader app. It was a very good app. It had good functionality for mobile. I prefer not to grade on a mobile device personally, but if you need to, if you're in a pinch, I've had to on many occasions, and the functionality is good. I just click anywhere on these circles, and I can see the various submissions. Oops, I clicked on haven't submitted, so I'm going to click on need grading right here as well. I'm gonna focus on the need grading as opposed to seeing everybody's. I can say, okay, 3 people need grading. So let me grade 1 on the phone on the left here. So swipe left or right to see other student posts. So here's a student submission. It looks like they posted an initial thread. I can review that here. I usually don't read through because if you're active throughout the week, then you get a gist of what the students are saying, but you might need a refresher. So remind me, okay, yeah, this student was posting about cardigans and tattoos. And so I'm going to click on the bottom grades, and I have a slider here. I can either press the plus button and enter in a grade manually, or I can put no grade, excuse the student, or I have a slider here if you want to have fun with that. And I'm going to say I'm going to give him, I don't know, a 40. I don't have a rubric for this mock course, but a 40 out of 50 because he posted an initial thread, but he never responded to any other students. And so then down here, I can say as much. In fact, I'm going to use because I'm a little lazy right now, I'm just going to use the speed thing. You posted an initial post and it was very good, but you didn't respond to other students. Yeah, whatever. I could wordsmith that. All right, so he's graded. I'm going to click done. And I'm going to hop over to the other page. I'm going to the iPad on the right now. I'm going to click on my friend Tracy. All right, her post came up. It was about the same. In fact, the initial post, sorry, Tracy, I didn't give you a good initial post. I'm going to give her 35 out of 50. And I'll type that out, pretty much the same comment. I can put great initial post. Please remember to respond to other students. All right, and I'll click the little plus button there. And then if she responds to me in the gradebook, then I would see that, and this can be a discussion thread, just like on the regular app. Now, this time, instead of saying done, I'm going to swipe, and I can swipe over to Lord Giddy. And it looks like he wrote a novel on his, so I'll give him, I don't know, 44 points, no explanation. I'm just going to give him that grade. I'll refresh on the phone. It should, I don't know, it should refresh. But just in case, I'll go back out. So you can see on the, okay, now it's all current. I don't know why this page isn't, I don't know, it still says that 2 need grading. If I click on that, the 2 that need grading, I don't know, it's probably going to think and say nothing needs grading because it's all up to date. All right, and let me look at this other assignment. Engaging advertisement. So for this, the students actually had to submit something, and I have the assignment instructions right here. I've graded 8. I still need to grade 1 more. Let's do that on the tablet on the right. It looks like, oh, Sean needs to be graded. And it gives you a hint. So tap and hold a rubric number to see its description. And that depends on if the course was created with rubric descriptions. I can see, let's see, this student submitted a PowerPoint presentation. And I can see that here I can mark up if I wanted to. So comment, I could say good title. And comment. Okay, so now there's a comment on there. I can highlight, where's the highlighter? Right there. Yellow highlighter, and I can highlight some of the text. Excuse me. So I can do some of the markup. In this assignment, I actually have a rubric, which is just a random rubric from wherever. And then I can assign the grade. I can see the files, comments. I can see that he actually submitted twice a document and then a PowerPoint presentation. I'll go ahead and click done. All right, so let's look at, we went through, let me look at the quizzes. I put 1 quiz in this course as well. I can preview the quiz as a professor. And I'll back out on this side. Okay, so this is my quiz. I have some instructions. I have a picture there. I have some questions. How many teeth does an aardvark have? Whose face was said to have launched 1,000 ships? Spoiler alert, it wasn't Tim of Athens. And a true and false. The Beatles were the most overrated and underrated band of all time. And there are correct answers to these questions. It's just a preview version of the quiz, and we'll hop over to student view and see what that looks like. I can edit the quiz if I want to. I click on the upper right hand corner, and this takes me to, this is called a wrapper. So, oops, I got an error. That was a wrapper. It was essentially, they pulled up the Canvas website in the app. Most of these apps are native development, um, meaning it was built from the ground up to be a mobile app. Some apps on the market are wrapper apps in that it takes a website and it just takes the contents of the website and changes it so that it looks better on a mobile platform. But it's not as good. It's a lot cheaper to do it that way because the website's already built and you're just modifying the website to fit the screen, as opposed to these apps are native apps. And so the functionality is pretty spot on. I'll show you the modules page here. So I have two modules. I can shrink the modules. In this course, you're going to have probably a course home section and 7 to 15 modules, and I can see each of the pages within the module. Overviews, assignments. Here's another assignment. And so that's how you navigate the Professor app. I'll look at the course settings. You don't want to change any of these necessarily. If you need to edit an assignment page, then there's an edit button at the top right. And so you can change descriptions, point values, due dates, any of those things. Let me back out and let's see, courses. At the bottom, you have a to-do list. So this is your dashboard. And don't mind these. These are all just kind of dummy courses and such. And you have an inbox. These will be all your courses. There's a navigation menu here where you can adjust your settings. Some of these settings are for the Canvas app, and some of them are for actually working in Canvas. And you have guides. And so now I'm going to log out of the teacher app before we hop over to Android, and just know that Android is pretty much the same thing. I'm going to show you some nuances. The app itself is pretty much the same app. There's just you go to the App Store instead of, or the Play Store instead of the App Store, but it's pretty similar. So now I'm going to log on TCS Education System. All right, on the left, I logged on to the student app, and I can see a couple of these courses are student courses. So I'm going to click on Detail Sandbox. That's the course that we were just in, only now I'm going to navigate it as a student. So you can see how the student view is different than the professor view. Let's see, just going to pause my screen real quick. All right, and we are logging in. Yes, I will allow notifications. I'll hop over to the course. Excuse me. All right, so this is the exact same course, but in the previous demo, I was logging on as an administrator, as a teacher in the course, and now I'm on a different account and I'm logged in as a student. So this is what the students see. They have navigation menu. Let's look at assignments. I can see there's various assignments. Let's see what the modules view looks like. I can expand these. So as I click on the navigation menu on the left, it pulls up the modules on the right. So let's look at discussion, for example. It looks similar to the discussion, except for you can see as a professor, you can edit student replies. As a student, the only thing you can do is respond to replies. All right, and I can click next, see what the next thing is. Next thing is submitting a deliverable. And I've already submitted my deliverable, and so I can actually see my submission, and I can see that the instructor has already graded it as well. And I can message the instructor as well. And I can say thanks for the feedback. Um, and I'll click send. And so then the professor, um, it looks like my teacher app is giving me a notification that a student responded to, and that's actually an interesting thing to show too. I wasn't expecting that. The notifications that you can know when a student has responded in some way. You can turn it in again um, if I need to re-upload a file, like a modified version. Now, as a professor, I let my students submit as many times as they want, and I grade the most recent submission before the due date. And after the due date, they can resubmit, but I dock points for that. So if I needed to re-upload it, then I can click that. I don't. That's one feature that I'm worried about using mobile. I think that's probably desktop because we have access to OneDrive, cloud-based file sharing, and just storing files on a hard drive is a lot better than on a tablet. If it was a multimedia comment, then that would be different. Maybe they could record a video. I'm going to pause and say, why doesn't one question is, why doesn't the syllabus show up? Now let's see, there's a syllabus down here. I wasn't paying attention to the order of the navigation as I was setting up this course. But this looks like, it's different than the desktop syllabus. And that with the desktop, you can have narrative. Maybe it's just because I didn't put any, I didn't do anything to the syllabus, and so it's just a list of assignments, and it's sequential, and these are all hyperlinked, so I could go to those assignments. I'm sure if I had gone in and put some actual text on the page, then that would appear before the list of the assignments. I also, if I hop down to the bottom, I have some global navigation. I can go to the to-do list, and this spans all the courses, all the things that I need to do. I have a calendar view as well. And so I can see on the right the various assignments. They're color coded as well. And I can see on the calendar there's certain dots that indicate that something is due on that day. And so I can click on the 12th, I can click on the 14th, and from there I can click right on that assignment and go to the assignment. So I've already taken the quiz. Oh, now it's taking me back to, now it's taking me outside. I should have not taken the quiz and then I could walk through the quiz, but I think it's not important. The quiz is pretty much a quiz like you would expect. All right, so I'm back at the course syllabus. Somebody's asking, the syllabus does not show up on the Canvas teacher. I don't know why. I might have, maybe I hid the syllabus on the Canvas teacher. Let me step back just a moment and I will, I'll log in. Oops. I'll log into that course real quick. Oh, wait, there it was. I saw it. Detailed sandbox. Yep, the syllabus is here. So I'm just kind of exploring. I have to pull up my other keyboard real quick. I'm just going to find some lorem ipsum that I can put in there. All right. Okay, yeah, it's not showing up. So that's a good question. We can look into. I'm wondering why isn't this showing up on the app on the right? I'll show you. So here's the app, and I'm not seeing any update to the to the syllabus here. Maybe if I click on a couple pages and then click back to the syllabus. No, for some reason I'm not seeing all of that text that I just put in. So I'll look into that. And I don't know why the syllabus link wasn't actually showing up on the teacher app when I was in this course. It is showing up for the students though. So that's a good question. Are there any other things that people would want to see before I jump into the Android app? And the Android app, I won't spend as much time. We've pretty much covered the essential components of navigating the course. The only thing that's different is logging on is a little bit different, or downloading the app is a little bit different for Android. But I'll walk through that. So let me just review the questions. Asking you questions. It is so the syllabus is showing up. It doesn't show up on the Android either. I apologize. We have landscapers outside. Okay, so with that, I will. Oops. I'm going to switch over to Android. So just give me one moment. I'm booting up my Android tablet real quick. All right, minimize this screen. Okay, so for Android, I'm on a tablet. This is the Samsung tablet. I actually don't know which this is, a Galaxy tablet perhaps, running the Android model. So I'm going to hop over to the Play Store. It looks like I already searched for Canvas, but let's try that again. I'm going to type in Canvas and search, and you'll see it's they're among the top the top choices. Now Canva, this blue one here, is actually different than Canvas. Let me make this a bit bigger for us. It's a great app, but it's more of for making flyers and graphics and stuff. So I'm going to look at Canvas Student and Canvas Teacher. First, let's hop into Canvas Teacher. I will work on installing that. It's about 40 megabytes or so. And let's see how big well, I'll come back to the student one. All right, so let's search for, is it still installing? Okay, it looks like it's installed, so I'll go ahead and open Canvas Teacher. Find my school. This is going to look exactly the same. I'm going to type in, oops, got to switch my Bluetooth keyboard to the right input. TCS. It used to be just type in TCS and it was the only thing, but now they have more institutions. So I type TCS space and search for TCS Education System. So let's see, I am in the teacher app, so I'm going to type in the right password. So oh goodness, sorry, goofed up on the password, bear with me. Okay, we're good to go. I'm logging in. For the next couple minutes, it's just going to be deja vu. I'm going to click on that detailed sandbox course, and a few minor changes. The iconology is all pretty much the same. You know, the colors, the layout, it looks more Android than iOS, but the functionality is pretty much exactly the same. I have navigation. I can look at the various assignments. I can see who needs grading and who doesn't need grading. As I go to the grader, and I'm going to, wait, sorry about that. I'm going to maximize the screen, click on grading. Looks like a few people submitted late. So I'll just um, click on one randomly. Swipe left to see other students, press and hold to view descriptions of rubrics. I can click on the grade. I didn't click. I touched the grade up there, and instead of a slider, I can just manually enter in the point value. And I apologize to Tracy. I'm going to take off 1 point just for the sake of nothing. I can swipe left and right to see the other students, just like in the other. Now, something I haven't explored, there's a share button in the top right corner. Oh, that's not a share necessarily, that's open. Since this is their submission was a PowerPoint presentation deck, I can open that on other platforms, I suppose. Or I can just edit right on the screen. Now, let's see, I'm going to rotate this landscape just to show how that's different. And I'll make a note also that this tablet is significantly smaller than the iPhone or the iPad that I was on. The iPad Pro is about the biggest size of tablet that you can have, and the Samsung tablet that I'm on is about the smallest. I think there might be one that's a smidge smaller, like the iPad Mini isn't much smaller, but so that just shows that we've looked at 3 different screen sizes, and looks like this funny student, submitted a Word document instead of a PowerPoint presentation. And so I'm going to back out of there. Let's just look at one other assignment. Let's look at, let's see what the quizzes look like. So here's the quiz questions. Now in the iOS app, when I clicked on preview quiz, it took me to a wrapper of some sort. This looks actually very, very similar. So this is what it would look like. The quiz questions. I can't edit the quiz from here, but I can edit from, if I click that, where'd it go? That pencil in the upper right hand corner, that's where I would be able to edit various things. The due dates. It doesn't look like, I haven't looked in to see if I can edit questions. It doesn't look like I can edit questions. I think you would just have to do that from the desktop probably. Right. And so we have assignments, discussions. There are 2 discussions. Let's look to see how that, because we saw this discussion on the phone and on the iPad, and it looks pretty good. I chose this discussion. It has animated pictures. It has a lot of text with hyperlinks. It has embedded elements in it, and the embedding it seems to work okay. And then we have discussion posts underneath. And since I'm a teacher right now, I have the options to reply, edit, and delete. I can also thumb up. On the right hand, I can like posts if I wanted to. All right, so that's the discussion. I can edit it by clicking that pencil in the top right hand corner. Edit date, content, point value. I can unpublish it. I can subscribe. Allow threaded replies, of course. You always want threaded replies. I have due dates. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Now I have no idea what I'm doing. All right, I can also see people. And I can see some interaction details, course data. I can see the grade. Again, for FERPA Police, this is all pretend. This is a dummy course. So I can see assignment by assignment, the students' basically how they're doing with things. That's the teacher account. I'll show this one. This student turned in something late. Um, and I can see that particular assignment that they turned in late as well. And so let's wrap up by the final thing I'll show is the Canvas student on Android. So logging in is going to be the same thing. Type in TCS and it's on that page. If you type in TCS Ed, it'll probably narrow it down. So let's see, I am a student right now, and I'll go ahead and pause this. Oops, I messed up on my password again. All right, now we're good. Logging in. And you can see that the student navigation at the bottom is a lot better. For some reason, the teacher app, I don't think that it has a calendar function, and I really like the calendar function, just like what we saw in the other app. So I'm going to click DTL Sandbox and click Done, and I can see some of the dates. Now, I wish that this was better marked. There are little indications that things are due on those days. So if I touch on those days, I can see what things are due. So on the 14th and on the 12th, a lot of stuff due today. I have to-do list as well, an inbox, notifications at the bottom, and I'll just go ahead and click on the dashboard. And you can see on the dashboard, it gives me a percentage of all the courses. I don't actually know if that is something that we can toggle, show grades, toggle on and off. I mean, it's sensitive information. If you're on a train or something, or with classmates, then maybe you don't want to broadcast to the world that you're not doing great in a course or something, or maybe you do want to broadcast how awesome you're doing. Let's look at that syllabus page because that's something we were looking at before. Okay, this actually looks like a different interface than what we saw before. Interesting. I'm back on the other app on the iPad. Not showing the screen, but just refreshing, and that does look like a bit of a difference. Let me show the screen again on the iPad. So in this aspect, for the most part, Android and iOS are one-to-one. It's pretty much the same app. But in this case, on the Android, you can choose a syllabus description or assignments. And the description, it could have pictures and hyperlinks and all that. For some reason, on the iOS app, the syllabus doesn't have that same functionality. All it has is the assignment list with the lines on the screen. So that's a disparity for sure between the two apps. Other than that, for the most part, you're going to see a lot of similarities. And here, since I'm a student, these grades are actually my assignment grades. And if I click on one, then I can see the assignment description. I can see the submission. It looks like this student submitted twice. They re-uploaded a file. I can add a comment. Let me look at the grade real quick, and I can see I got 45 out of 50. Sorry about that. I usually disable my Outlook. You can add a comment, and I can say, thanks again for the feedback. And then the teacher would be able to see that in SpeedGrader and would be able to respond to that as well. So any last minute questions? So what we did, we downloaded the student app and the teacher app for Android and iOS, and we looked at both. So we essentially looked at 4 things: student for Android, student for iOS, both phone and tablet for iOS. I don't actually have an Android phone, so I wasn't able to show that. I did have one of the instructional designers was able to create a video showing how to download um, and install iOS on the Android phone. I just didn't show that video because it ended up being really similar to how you do it on a tablet. And so I know this webinar had a lot of redundancies. We covered a lot of things, but yeah, I'll take any questions that you have at this point. So we're asking, one person's asking, is there a way to filter responses um, for replies on discussion on Android teacher? That is a fairly specific question. So let's take a look. I have a discussion here, and we're looking at filtering replies. I don't see a way that we can filter replies. Let me pull up the iPad over here and look at discussions. No, I'm not seeing anything on the iPad either. A way to, and what that's referencing is if I pull up. So now I'm in DTL. I am a teacher. So we're talking about. I want to see all of the responses that mention Thad. So here are Thad's replies. He was very active. I can also filter by unread messages. It looks like most of them are technically unread. I can also minimize or expand the replies so that I can focus on the initial threads, which I do because as a teacher, I want to make sure that I'm active on each of the threads and not just sitting on one particular thread. And so I'll minimize that and make sure that, okay, I can see all of the students and make sure that I'm in there. But it looks like a lot of that functionality isn't available on the tablets apps, the teacher apps. I can participate. Let me click on. I just touched that help button right there. Let's see what that pulls up. Oops. Then I clicked away from it or touched away from it. In the meantime, no, that's a little. Oops, it stopped working. So don't click on that little button. I guess is the rule. All right. Let me review the questions some more. Yeah, one person's commenting regarding filtering the discussion. Sometimes discussions get really long. I mean, if you have 20 students in the class, that's a pretty large class, but not unreasonable. I've had 15 to 20 students quite frequently. So even if it's 17 students and each student posts 4 times, then you're looking at almost 70 responses. And if they're significant, 70, it can be difficult to go through. So so we can't filter on the app. So that might be something to consider. That maybe try and be on the desktop if the discussions get really long and intense. Can you show students' view of groups on their phones? Boy, that would have been good. I didn't actually create. Yeah, that would have been something that would have been good to cover. Student groups is referring to. I can take this dummy course. I have I did create a student group, but I never actually put the students into the different groups. So let's do that. I have a hard stop at the hour, but I'll stay on and let's try this out. I'm gonna do team. How about a team as one? And I will do beta team. All right, so I will just randomly assign people to groups. I think groups are great. I use groups a lot in my courses when I can. On the side, let's see, student. Okay, I am logged in. You know what? Am I logged into the student? Okay, I'm going to back up for a second before I get into that group. Let's go back into this detail page in discussion. I was in the student app a moment ago and not the teacher app. So let's just see if the teacher app. No, I think I was in the teacher app. No, there's just no way to filter the assignments. And so let me hop back over to students. I'm going to back up people. See, I have teachers. Where are my groups? Oops. All right, so we should have project groups. We have 2 groups. Let me refresh that. All right, I should be able to see the groups as a student. Let me just try to log out and log in real quick. Bear with me. CS Ed System. We're definitely getting practice with this. All right, I am not seeing groups, and I don't know why I'm not seeing groups. I see groups for other things. For some reason, these groups are not showing up for me. And I have my student version of me registered in a group. I'll refresh the page. I can see from the professor, I can see those are other groups not related to this one. So I don't know, maybe it just needs some time to update or refresh. I tried logging out, logging in, but probably in a moment then it'll show up. Oh, there it is. Let's see. Okay, so beta team. Oh, sorry, I'm not showing my screen. And I'm going to be done with the Android. I'll go ahead and stop mirroring that one, and I'll focus on for the last 1 minute on the iPad. Just gonna make some adjustments on my desk here. All right, so I have team beta in the bottom there, and let's see the people. All right, so here are my teammates. Go ahead and minimize this and maximize that. So a Canvas group is just what it sounds like. You divide the students into teams, into groups, and each group has their own space that they can work in. So they'll have a home page, announcements, and these announcements could come from the professor or from the other students. So it's like a basic mini Canvas course that is only for their group. They can't see the content from another group. Another group can't come in to their group, but the teacher can see all and can participate. They can create their own pages. They can interact with the people. They can have their own discussions. So as a student, I can come in and create a discussion thread, which is convenient if you're working on a group project. You can say, hey, who wants to cover the lit review? And you can talk about the lit review on this page or whatever. You can share files with each other. And so it's a good space. So that was what the group format looks like for a student. Any other last minute questions? Let's see there. So one person saying um, there have been issues with students using the phones for groups and that it ends up in the wrong place consistently. Uh, yeah, that's unfortunate. Hopefully, if you use the student app instead of using the mobile browser, you'll have less issues. But yeah, do reach out to me offline. With that, I think we'll end this webinar. So thank you all for joining me. If you have other questions, feel free to reach out to me. Um, I want to say, as a final thought, the reason why I chose this webinar using mobile apps for Canvas is because that my department does research. We survey the students regularly about their e-learning preferences, their utilization of technology, their expectations for ed tech in the classroom. And one thing that we're finding is that each year, more and more students are using mobile platforms to access their course content and interact with students and professors. And so it's important that if students are relying so much on mobile applications for Canvas, that the faculty should at least be familiar with the platforms and comfortable with the concept of mobile learning as a dominant way that students access and interact with course content. So thank you for attending. Our next webinar will be in 2 weeks, same time, and we're going to talk about the new gradebook. The gradebook is getting a huge facelift. It's going to be more efficient, and this is the browser-based, like the computer gradebook, not the mobile app. But we're going to see some improvements, and so we'll walk through those improvements with you, and I hope to see you then.